Groovy.
Into it. Talk about whatever you want, sir. The floor is yours.
I appreciate it, man. First of all, I want to start out by thanking you guys, like, for even having me on. I mean, I know that you and I were going back and forth on Facebook messaging, and at some point during our discussion, I was like, oh man, I hope he understands. My movies are made for like $2,500 or less, you know. And the reason I bring it up now is just like, for you guys to give a voice to a movie like mine, you know, where it's like people making movie. I mean, there's a lot of us out there, but like, it's a big deal, man. It's a really big deal, and I don't know if you know that or not, but like, we're not even like indie films. We're like whatever that it's like 4 or 5 steps below that. We're indie in that context, but you know what I'm saying, like no budget filmmaking, and for anyone to give us a voice and to allow us to share about our movies and stuff is massive for us, and so I just want to start out by saying that, like, thank you guys so much, and like, uber excited to be here, man.
Listen, not at all, man. Yeah, Chris lives and dies on indie horror. He loves these movies. I'm getting into them. Trust me. Because indie's where it's at this point. And listen, we don't judge. You're doing something that a lot of people aren't. You're making movies. Okay, doesn't matter what your budget is. You're doing something other people talk about doing but don't. And listen, we're just happy to talk to anybody about horror movies. That's the thing. That's our
yeah. It's I'll tell you this. It's funny. Is like when leading up to this is that I got into this not into film. I got into film way back in Tampa, actually. When I was a young lad running around, I fell in love with movies at probably, I don't know, 11 years old. But anyway, I had been a cameraman for years and years and years. But my wife is obsessed with horror movies. She watches everything. So when we first started dating, she lived in Newark, New Jersey, and there was this little itty bitty video store at the corner in Newark, New Jersey, and all they had were horror movies. And I was a scaredy cat, and I'm like, oh man. And every time we went to rent it, she'd rent 5 crazy horror movies, all mostly independent stuff I'd never heard of. And honestly, I started watching them with her, freaked out, admittedly. But I would watch them with her, and I'd be like, I started really falling in love with the genre as an art piece for someone like me, a camera guy, and I love like visual filmmaking and everything. And I was like, man, there's so much. I don't know. I was like, there's so much. I don't want to say more creative because I don't want to insult other genres, but like, I just thought that was like, man, there's so much visual stuff you can do in horror. That I don't know if you can
interference. You know what I mean? There's not something to be like, oh, you can't do that. It's not marketable or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's the thing. And like, so I just fell in love with that part, man. I just fell in love with like you said, open reigns, and just kind of like, I first fell in love with the notion of like the POV kind of camera captured footage kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was my first film called Sleepover. And that was my first foray. I was like, yeah, we rigged the camera to this girl's head, and we tortured these 2 teenage girls. I'm not kidding you. The whole movie was about like a stream, live almost, not live like you would watch it live, but it really happened live for these girls. Like the events of the movie, there was like a ghost haunting them, and the ghost was me and the other filmmakers smashing walls, and we put makeup on people. Like we tortured these girls. Like it was. And that's what I was kind of fascinated by. I was like, well, what about that, like that real scare, trying to find a way to really scare actors and performers. And that was my foray into it. And then, as time went on, I started getting more into like, well, that's great, but now I want to kind of try to spread my wings visually. Each time I've done these films, this is my 4th one that I'm about to release. I've tried to at least extend that visual reference point to new things. But I'll be honest, like, you guys intimidate me. Like, real horror fans scare me because I'm always
get out of here. Come on.
No, I'll tell you this. No. You guys are awesome.
You're with friends, man. You're with friends right now, so it's you're good. You're good.
Well, it's just that like I always knew, I'm like, because my mom is also a diehard horror fan. I always knew, and horror fans are the most diehard, loyal fan base in the world. And also they have an acute sense of what they're looking for, right? I would say secondarily to that is like comic book and sci-fi kind of world. That's like the second place finisher in that world. But like as someone trying to make these movies, like that is always every time I'm shooting, it's in the back of my head. I see people watching and I'm like, oh crap, they're not buying this at all. They're not buying this at all. I think I've even said that on set.
Craft it, how you want to put your spin on it. Listen, go ahead and introduce yourself at this point.
Oh, sorry.
No, we just jumped in. I love it, man. I love it. But go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us, what film you have working on and what you're here to discuss and talk about, man.
Cool. Yeah. So my name's Colin Bressler. I'm a filmmaker out of South Texas, and I have a new movie coming out called Remy's Demons. It's going to be brought to you by Scream Time Films, another Texas horror distribution company. I describe it as a horror coming of age love story with a little bit of the occult and or possession kind of theme or genre mixed into it. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be coming out probably mid to late May. We're still working on the details. It's just depending on when the upload to Amazon happens and all that stuff. And there'll be DVD sales and that. And as I said a moment ago, this is my fourth feature, horror feature. The other three are available on Amazon or my first film, Sleepover, is available only on DVD at this point. It's been out. 2016 was when we released it. So anyway, yeah. So that's my backstory. That's my story.
That's great, man. That's great. Listen, Chris, you were able to watch the entire film, right?
Yes.
Okay. I started it after you and I did our Skype call because I had 2 hours and I wasn't able to finish it. I got to the point where Remy meets the black girl in the cemetery. It's like it's probably like 30 or 40 minutes into it. Something happened with Liz and I couldn't finish it. So I just want to be honest with you. Listen, I liked what I saw so far. I was very happy with it. It has a nice slow burn kind of, because I love slow burn horror movies. That's one of my preferences. Really, really thought it was cool so far, man. Like I'm really dying to. I don't want to rush the interview, but as soon as we're done, I'm getting right back on there, man, so I can finish it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, man. Thank you both for taking the time to watch it.
We like horror. It's an
investment. Yeah.
Like horror. I do want to extend, a thank you for actually caring what we thought to send a screener, man. Like that's great. It's really appreciated. So,
of course.
So like, where'd the film come from? Where'd you get the idea for this? Like, how did it, what planted the seed for Remy's Demons in it?
Well, my process generally is I just kind of like, once I finish a film, I kind of start this whole thing of just like, well, what next? That's the initial question, of course. And then the what next leads to, I have these like dialogues with myself about what would be an interesting story to tell. I'll be perfectly honest. Again, I know going in, and I hate to harp on budget, but I know going in, I'm not going to have much money to play with. So I always go, what small story can I tell? So I'm always sort of working from that fabric. And I don't know. I just I had watched Carrie, the movie Carrie, the classic, not long before this time we're talking about. And I just kind of popped into my mind the archetypal Carrie's mother, right? And I was like, well, what if like a kind of on the spectrum guy was raised by Carrie's mom, but he doesn't have powers like Carrie, right? And I start playing with those scenarios, and I started asking myself questions like, well, what is the story? Well, where would this go? And this happens, by the way, with 10 or 15 different subjects, and most of them go nowhere. And I'm like, crap, moving on. This one just kind of stayed with me. And the truth of the matter is, my movie before this one dealt with really, really heavy subject matter called Domestic Hell. And it's about domestic violence, and it's a horror movie, thriller, more of a thriller, suspense horror. But I didn't want to go down that road right away, right? So I was like, I wanted to do something a little lighter and a little bit more of a character study. I kind of really, I fell in love with Remy when I first started thinking of him, and then as it unfolded, and I don't know. I just kind of like, I let it like snowball, and then eventually I go, all right, you know what? Let's try to make this. Now I'd be remiss not to mention my co-writer, Josh Kaza. He also a South Texas writer, brilliant writer, amazing guy. You're going to hear about him, trust me. And
Awesome.
we co-wrote this film together. So I went to him and said, Josh, I don't know if you want to work with me, but I have this idea. And I sent him like a little breakdown of an idea. So at that point, then he comes in and then he's like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And he has a great frame of reference background like you guys do. A lot of movies. He knows a lot of movies. So we just start. Yeah. We just start going back and forth. And I told him, I go, hey man, watch Carrie again as soon as possible. Like, it's just, trust me, like Regan is the mother's name in my movie. And I was like, go watch it. Like, go watch it. Think of her. Like, that's what I'm thinking. You know? So that was kind of the genesis of the initial project.
That's cool. That's cool to hear that. Like, because a lot of times we ask people like where the idea come from, and they just, it's kind of like, oh, you know, I thought of this and I thought of that, but it's like to actually sit there and listen to you say, I have another person, and we were just dropping ideas. Just, it's cool to hear that process. It's really neat.
Remy
based off a real person, or was that something that you totally fabricated? Like,
now, for me, no.
Okay.
Totally fabricated. I did a lot of research into spectrum, sort of. I'll be honest. I don't really want to say autism because I don't know enough, and I don't want to be ignorant or disrespectful. But so I did like spectrum and like kind of just get a sense. I watched videos of people. An actor. Now, this film. Going back a second. I'm sorry I do this a lot. Just bear with me. Going back a second. When I first started the project, I had an actor that was on my last film that was involved in this project. Right. Okay. So he also was helping develop the character. He unfortunately couldn't do he was going to do the role, but he couldn't do it in the end. But the reason I bring that up is because he told me, he said, go see a movie called Adam. So I said, oh, I never heard of it. Independent film. So I said, sure. I went to watch that. And he's like, I think that might be where Remy, maybe in that world over there. And I took some stuff from it. Didn't like some others. It's a great film, but I didn't like, I was like, nah, that's not really Remy. This is Remy, you know, anyway. So I was kind of like watching movies, doing some research. I love doing YouTube, like watching YouTube videos. I saw like a couple interviews with people on the spectrum, so to speak, and just kind of like watching their mannerisms. But I want to also comment on Jason Scarborough was the lead actor in the film. And first off, I mean,
he sells it, man. He really sells it. Like, I totally bought that, you know, like the finger playing and just, yeah, he owns it. He really owns it.
So. And I bring it up because you said, is it based on anyone? And for him, it was personal. He has family members and on the spectrum and everything. So when he got involved, he told me that. He said, hey, I don't want this to be a caricature. I don't want this to be, because it would be insulting to me and my family if I went out there and just played whatever, just went out there and did some caricature of the role. And man, like when we make these movies, it's like, I mean, my head, I don't know if I can curse, but my head is firmly implanted up my ass when I make these things. And I'm like, shot list and budgets and honestly, it's like, I got to get chicken nuggets for lunch. Like, that's where your head's at. So like,
you're troubleshooting everything, man. Yeah, I get it.
And if he doesn't, if Jason doesn't take that step, and I know when any actor watches, gonna be like, well, he's acting. That's what actors do. I get it. But like at the same time, he's got this director with his head up his ass, and we're running behind schedule, and I'm hard to talk to because I'm all over the place. For him to take that and go, I'm going to own this guy. And like, really I mean, when I'm going to tell him what you guys just said, like, hopefully he watched this, but like, I'm going to tell him what you guys just said. Cause I'm like, I've been telling him that on text. I tell him every time I'm editing, I'm like, Jason, dude, like
he plays it very well. And it's really cool that, you know, he went for the authentic, you know, way instead of, oh, I'm just going to kind of do an amalgam. He sells it. I believe that person has a mental, you know, disorder. And the sound design. So what I've heard so far, I love, I mean, I don't know if it's just me, I'm probably crazy. The background, it's kind of like you can hear the demon grumbling all the time. Like, I thought that was a really cool touch. I really like that a lot.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's a side thing. All right. So my partner in crime, Colin, his name is also Colin, is Colin Chinchar. Shout out to Colin Chinchar. He lives in Oregon. We met back in Jersey, actually. He lived in Brooklyn, actually. Yeah, right. And we started doing. He was a sound mixer back then. Now he has a small business, but he just loves sound design and like music. And anyway, all the music's his. All the sound design is his. That's his thing, right? So like he's done every movie I've done, and that's kind of our partnership. Is like he does sound design. I basically film, edit, direct, all that, and then I send it over to him and let him do his magic. So like I'll just give a minor notes. I'm annoying. I send a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of stuff. Like I send him movies and going, dude, I saw this. What about this for our movie? You know, like, so that's about my input. You know, I'm not a big, like, I'm not great with sound design. It's not where my brain works in terms of like, I know what I like and I don't like. So he'll send me stuff and I'll be like, nah, I don't want that. But that's all his. I tell him all the time. I'm like, dude, you're a genius. Like, I don't.
Yeah, listen, extend that compliment to him because it was really neat, especially when they're in the cafeteria and he keeps turning around. Like, that was cool. That was really cool to see. Like, you know, and just that sound added so much to it. It was awesome. It was really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, definitely was.
Right? Yeah. All right. Floor is yours, Chris. You know, I got some other stuff I'm going to ask him, but you know.
All right. I was going to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about the plot of the movie without giving too much away?
Yes.
Of course, yeah. So the story is, like I said, a horror coming of age love story, and it's basically a coming of age story of this character Remy and his mother Regan, which is, like I said, the best example is the Carrie relationship, or at least the mother. But basically, you know, you don't have to have seen Carrie to understand. She's a helicopter mother or whatever. Like, she just hovers over him and it's controlled every aspect of his life. She's into the occult. She does practices witchcraft and all kinds of stuff. And so this is the worldview he's only known. And my wife just came in and this is the world this is the only world he's known, you know. And so that was also, like I said earlier, that was a touching off point to me, was his mental stuff aside. I was like, well, what if someone was just, and I'm sure people are, by the way, but I was like, that was my what if question. Well, what if all you knew was someone who believed in demon conjuring and all this stuff, and also felt that the human world, our structured world, whatever you want to call it, is a lie and a false and a farce and it's dangerous and evil, right? So that's the touching off point. But sorry, I'm going off topic, but the plot is that he's this person locked in this little world that his mom's created. She's blanketed him and put him in the safe nest and made him see the world a certain way. But Remy is a person with a kind heart and an open heart. And so he's always had these wonders about whether his mom's worldview is correct. And through some stuff happens, and he has some turmoil and things happen in his life that throw his life upside down. He is forced to sort of to reflect on everything his mom's taught him, to reflect on all the things he's believed. The movie's core value and core theme is about belief and faith, faith in oneself, faith in one's view, faith in one's faith. You know, what have I been told, right? Like, someone might have brought you up and said, you're Catholic, and your parents told you you're Catholic. And then you grow up and you're like, yeah, I guess I'm Catholic, but I never really had a say in that choice. You know, that's Remy's story. He never had a say in the choice. And then when things happen in this film, he now has a say in the choice. So what does he choose, and where does he go from that? And then two competing characters come into his world and compete for that worldview and for his position in things. And so that's where the dilemma and all the questions and all the chaos stem from.
Wow. No, that's cool. I'm a big folk horror fan, so I'm well aware of the power of belief. You know, it can be a very dangerous thing, like, you know, The Wicker Man, Midsummer, you know, stuff like that.
I need to see that, by the way. Do you recommend that?
I loved it.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's like The Wicker Man on steroids. So it's
really?
Yeah, like when you think stuff can't just get more jacked up, you're like, holy shit, really?
Really,
It's a good flick. It's a good flick. I
I've heard
think
great
you.
things. I need to see it badly.
Yeah, pretty sure you'd probably enjoy it, man. Seriously, especially with the themes in Remy's Demons, you eat it right up. Eat it right up. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
What is it? I will say, as far as I got in the movie to this point, I did like the dynamic between Remy and the girl. I missed her name when she's doing her, I guess, yoga stuff in the cemetery. Like I had to stop it right there, but like you can tell it's gonna be a sweet moment. Like he's a sweet guy.
Yeah,
So I
thank you.
kind of like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
interaction between her and him. I thought that was really cool. That was really cool. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just
I think it was just so important to me to like that. I wanted it. My last movie was, I'm very proud of it, by the way, Domestic Hell, as I keep mentioning. But like the reason I bring it up is that that movie was a bit of grace, like the two main characters. You could make a very strong argument for being the antagonists, and
Yeah.
but I think they're and so I wanted, I don't know, I was kind of like I I don't know if you ever heard that interview with Patty Jenkins about Wonder Woman, and where she said she kind of made something, I don't know, it kind of hit me to heart, which was about sort of like there's nothing wrong with sort of genuineness or like I'm not doing it justice, but it's like
well,
I just it
sincere.
resonated
That's
with me.
it's not
Yeah, it
fallible at
resonated with
all.
me, and I was like, I wanted to make a character that was like endearing and kind of like our I feel like our age is very sarcastic and everything's kind of like, and I was like, I wanted to make a character a little throwback almost to like
Yeah.
80s films where the person's like a little bit more like, like just genuine and kind of like straight to the point, and it's a
Yeah,
little
it's
less gray, you're
rare
like
thing to
like
see nowadays. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was kind of that was the touching off point with Remy. Like I was like I thought it would be kind of maybe throw the audience a little bit that he's a little too upfront and
Yeah,
too
yeah.
aware. Like where our culture is like much more like, hey, what's
Well,
up? What's your deal?
face value,
Like yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Go ahead, Chris, man.
Do you have any like behind the scenes stories you want to share about making the movie?
Oh, we love these. We love these.
Okay. I got to think of good ones. So I mean, all right. So first off, like this movie was the hardest movie I've ever made, and that includes as a cinematographer. I had very limited time.
The
I was
shots are
60.
nice, man. They're very
Thank
aesthetically.
you.
Yeah. So I wanted. I didn't mean to
Thank
cut you off at all.
No. Please. And by the way, you can always cut me off. I don't mind.
No.
We my other films, I always found a way to do at least a 4 to 5 straight day shoot, right? And so this one, I just that wasn't in the cards. It wasn't in the actor schedules to my schedule. I don't want to throw them under the bus. I had a horrible. I have a family. I have a 7-year-old child. I have like a lot. I have a job. I'm a cameraman in reality television. I have to do my job. Like I have a mortgage. So this was just like so piecemeal together. I mean, literally, hey, I got 3 hours. Who's available? Let's shoot. That kind of thing.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so it was so challenging because, and I'll give you something like, so Jolie DeCiccio, I probably messed her name up, and Jolie, I apologize. Jolie is in the movie. I don't know if you remember, you haven't gotten there yet, but Chris, you may have remembered that there's an open house where the real estate agent showing them the house. Jolie is the curly-haired woman who says like, what? She has a little funny moment, but that's Jolie. That's Jolie's house, is the house in the movie. Now, is her house ideal? Not really. Even the main actress, Magda, who played Magda Porter, who played Regan, she said to me, she goes, I wish we had a better house, but I understand why we had the house. Jolie gave me her house anytime I wanted, was just like, and she's just awesome. Yeah. But with that came, she had 2 dogs that would constantly be playing with some toy that would make a music outside, and I'd be shooting, and all of a sudden I hear like ding 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 ding, and I'm going like, we're all like, what the hell is that? And it took us days till we realized, we're like, it's the dogs. There's a toy, and I think if they hit it, it rolls and it plays music. And it would just,
Oh, that's funny.
and actually, I'm pretty sure it's in a few of the takes. If you listen really hard, you would actually go, oh yeah, wow, I hear that. So that was a side note. And the dogs would scratch. So they didn't have dogs, the characters, and I didn't like them to have characters. The other thing I did that I wanted to slap myself hard, like throw myself into a wall, was I just got in my dumb mind that it's a one-story house. But when I wrote it, I saw a one-story house, and I was like, it's a one freaking story house.
That's the Florida
Jolie's
architecture coming through. So it's fine.
Yeah, thank you. I'm like, it's a one-story. So the house that we shot in was 2 stories.
Of course it was.
But because I'm an idiot, and it didn't make any difference in the story at all. There's no one's gonna watch it go, man, it should have been a 2-story house, or it was a 2-story. I don't know, but it made the architecture of shooting this movie almost impossible. I had so many times where I'd have to stand there and the actors would go, wait, how am I coming out of there? Or where am I? And I literally, it became like The Shining. Did you ever see that thing about The Shining where they say that, like, it doesn't make sense architecturally if you watch The Shining?
The layout. Yeah. That's right.
I'm thinking of that. I'm going, but I'm not brilliant like Kubrick. I'm not doing it on purpose. I just totally botched this. I'm sitting there going like, you're right. So many scenes started with the actor going, where should I come from? And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. That's true. Like, you can't be coming from. I know, and it drove me. No, but the thing is, like, Jolie gave me her house with like no questions asked. I mean, we tore her house to shreds, as you guys know. That's what movies do. And I'm sitting there like, I'm so grateful to her, Jolie. I'm so grateful to you. But it was a freaking nightmare, dude. And it was all on me. There's no reason. Like, and people would ask. They'd be like, "Why don't you're not going to shoot upstairs?" Well, they don't have a second floor. It's like, why? They had a 1-story house in the script.
Because it just doesn't.
I know. I was like, and I'm telling you, man, so many times. Once I committed to that, and then I was shooting it, and I was stuck in it, I was so pissed at myself. Every time we'd shoot there, I'd have a moment where I would just want to smash my head against the wall, going, "What were you thinking, dude? You made this so hard." And I don't have a script supervisor. I don't have anyone. I mean, the actors do. Josh was on set. Josh Kaza, this co-writer, was on set a lot of times. But Josh, I had him working the dialogue to make sure they were on script, but also that they didn't fudge a line in a way that hurt the screenwriting. I let actors go off script. I don't mind that. But I also But I wanted to keep, there are, you guys know, you got to keep something intact of the theme.
For exposition, exactly.
Yeah. And the other thing I've learned since I've been shooting movies is that part of the thing about ad-libbing, right? Like, we know Robert Downey Jr. is a genius ad-libber, and a lot of these great actors are, but they shoot multicam, and I shoot single cam. And the reason, if you let people go so far off script, and they might find the greatest Citizen Kane moments of all time. Yeah. But if I let that go too far in a single cam environment, I might not ever find this scene in the edit. I might sit there and post and be like, oh my God, I don't have a moment where she gets up, or I don't have a moment. He's in the corner of the room now, but in this other edit, I need her to say this here, but he's already over there in the improv that he did. Even though his improv is the most genius thing that ever happened, and it makes Remy a better character. I can't live in that with a single cam. It's hard enough to edit single cam anyway, but so that's always a task. So but yeah, that the house arrangement and all that stuff, and I try really hard to I really care about color because of my camera background, so I try to implement color, and there's color schemes happening in the background and in the story that are there, right? And if I got into some weird Victoria
there's a lot of cool
crap,
chromatics, and there's a lot of cool sepias because I'm a graphic artist, so I that shit jumps out at me. And,
awesome.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
I'm trying to be interesting for people like you, actually.
Oh, dude, come on. But the palette was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Color palette was really cool.
I know it's a big element, and I always try to make it something. I don't know if I always hit a home run with it, but it's like I'm like, well, here's like the palettes of filmmaking, and I'm like, I can't touch all of these because I have $2,000 and I have no time. But I'm like, well, I should at least try to touch a few, right? And so color is one, and things like saturation or whatever. I don't want to geek out too much, but yeah, I mean, I'm just I like the cemetery shoot was a nightmare because like it was 1,000 degrees in Texas in I believe we shot in May. It was like 8,000 degrees. We're out in the cemetery, but the funny part is the beginning of the day. It started out torrential downpour, lightning. The actors, we're all there, and I'm like, all right,
Florida. Sounds like Florida.
Yeah, and I'm going. I guess we got to cancel this. And that was actually the first major shoot of the film. And I was like, I guess we have to cancel this. And I'm not kidding you. Like God opened the gate, and it was like 11 o'clock a.m. The just parting of the clouds, sun, and I was like, oh my God, rest of the day gorgeous. And I was like, you know, most of the time the film gods want to punch you in the face, but I was like, sometimes they go, here you go, here's your movie, go make a movie, and you're like, all right, I'll run with it.
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool. See, now I love hearing stuff like that. We both do, because now when we go back and watch the film, now we know all kinds of little other shit going on. Like, oh, there's a guy on the other side of that door checking his email, or, you know, stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah. Awesome. That's awesome.
A lot of that going on. Lots of that. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, like it, you know, films like this, it's all about like so many people give you free stuff or like allow you to shoot their house. And full disclosure, the exterior of the house, because of this dumb one story thing, was not the house we shot in. I had to find someone that would let me shoot. I shot 3 days in front of their house. Totally separate person. So like his name was Tony Parry. He's a real estate agent in San Antonio. But he, you know, yeah, whatever, dude. And he was so into it. Yeah, you show up. He has like kids, you know, wife and stuff. And he's like, whatever. We were out there till like 11 o'clock one night. He's like, whatever. Came out. He's like, you guys want any coffee or anything? It's like,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
People don't realize how absurd when you make films, how you find out how nice people can possibly be. Now you see other stuff, but you also see, you're like, God, like this dude's like I'd be like, dude, it's 9:30. Like, go. What are you shooting?
Screw you. Yeah. Listen, people hear horror film and it does something to them, because they're like, what? Really? And I don't know what it is, man.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And that's the thing, like thank God for horror fans, and thank God for the horror genre, because it really is for like independent filmmakers, particularly no budget ones. It's our little our little nook in the film world where we can spread our wings and kind of have this freedom. But also, if you take it seriously enough, that like if I do a genre drama, right, it might be an amazing script, but people are going to pick it apart, the Sundance Community kind of thing, and then people like that are going to go, acting's kind of crappy, or like, I didn't really fall for it. This is like, did you scare me? Did I give a crap? Was there anything going on here? Was it creepy at least? And those questions you can try to answer. They sound easy. I know you guys know they're not easy, but when I first started, I was like, oh, it's not that hard to scare people. And then I got slapped around, and I was like, no, you gotta bring it.
Sensitized that it's really hard to pull the wool over their eyes, man, because they've been inundated with all this stuff. They've seen everything. So a true horror, like a true scare, is if you can pull that off, that's you got it. You know,
and I don't know if I have. I don't know if I have, but I'm trying. But the thing, I'll again, full disclosure, like one of my biggest sort of like things I wanted to like that matter to me as a filmmaker, and I love for you guys to chime in. You know, is that like I just honestly, I think my number one job is like, do you care about these characters? I don't know if I can guarantee to scare you. I really don't know that. Like that's like between you, God, and whatever, right? If what scares you, but like my mom is like gangsta now. Like she's just like nothing. She's 7 years, like whatever, 60, I don't know, 8. But she's just like, she's seen it all, man. For her, she's like,
yep.
You know, so I can't get to her there. But I know that, like, whoa, will she at least rally around Remy and be like, I kind of want to see this guy through? Yeah, it's a little creepy at times, but you didn't scare me. But like, did I care? And that's kind of like the gig, you know. It's like I can at least try to make you care. If I fail on that, then of course you're going to be like, okay, when is this gonna be over?
Well,
And that happens.
It takes you right out of it. You know what I mean? It doesn't, But go ahead, Chris, because I already know what I'm going to say on this one.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, character building is very important. You have to have that. I was gonna ask you with the demon devil thing. How did you get him made up?
So
hold on. Tell them what you said about character development is key a lot of times.
Yeah, it is.
That's how I am too, because if you don't give a shit about these characters, man, I don't care what happens to them. They can ride a 4-wheeler off a fucking cliff. I don't give a shit, Yeah. But if there's just one that kind of attaches to you a little bit, then you're like, all right, I'm rolling with this guy. This is my dude. I don't want to see anything happen to this guy. And then, so yeah, absolutely. So
that's
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. No, I love hearing this because I think I'd rather hear you guys a lot. Like I want to hear because I think there's so much. I learned so much from YouTube. I know I keep going back to it, but I love I love listening to the reviews and all the people the genius guys like you, man, people that watch this stuff and bring it in and then analyze it and talk about it. I gain it. I a lot of times I sit back and I'm a film guy. I love movies like you guys. It's I sit back and I go to myself. I go, man, I hope Scorsese watches this. If I watch let's say The Irishman, his last movie, I'll watch a critique that's brilliant, and I'll be like, I hope he watches this, man. I hope that he's open-minded enough to say, let me see. What an amazing thing it is in 2020 for these filmmakers, not people like me, but Tarantino, these kind of guys, to be able to have a place to go to see what people are saying about their movies, and actually learn from it. And be oh crap, I totally missed on that. Everyone on YouTube is saying that they didn't see it this way at all, and that's why I think it's so cool. I geek out to that. Trust me, my wife's always like, man, that's all you do is watch these YouTube videos. I'm like,
well, there's tons of stuff that horror fans and stuff that we'll miss because we'll be again hanging on to certain character, or we're always looking in the background for shots of the monster or whatever. So no, definitely there's tons of stuff that I miss, and then I'll watch a review and it's like, no, I didn't even notice that, no way. And so absolutely, absolutely.
Right, or even just some movies like Us. I don't know if I'm sure you saw Us.
Oh yeah,
right? That's the last, in my opinion, the last great sort of horror concept film. I don't know what to call it.
It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I told you I need. That's I want to see that. That and The Invisible Man are on my list.
Invisible Man,
big that was pretty good too.
Yeah, okay. Because he's my favorite Universal monster, so I was all for it, man. I was all for it.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, and and when I watched Us, I watched 30 videos because I didn't understand what I just saw. I was I know I liked it, but I was someone help me kind of unravel this because my brain I'm confused as hell. In a good way. I'm confused in a good way.
Yeah, no, but I love horror movies that do that. They make you think. Listen, I love me a good old slasher flick. Love it. But I love The Shining too. I love movies where you're just what in the fuck? Whoa. And
I know.
Those mind blows, man.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So,
what did you guys think of Us? Did you like Us or no?
All right. There was what? Get Out. That was the one with Us with the doppelgangers. That's right.
Yeah.
It was cool. It had a lot of interesting parts that were done to it. I'm just gonna throw this out there. There's a couple Twilight Zone episodes I've seen that he kind of borrowed.
Okay.
It was neat to see how he did it though. It was really cool. The fact that there are doppelgangers of everyone, and it was just a twist fucking story. But whatever, I have to watch it again because I watched it the one time. Chris and I don't even think you and I talked about Us. I don't think.
No, we haven't.
You asked me if I saw it. I was like, yeah. And I was like, did you see it? And you're like, yeah. I think that was it. That was,
Yeah, the first time I saw it was at the drive-in.
That's right.
I didn't really like it then. But then when I watched it, was a much better at-home experience when you
couldn't hear it.
Focus in on it. Very creepy.
Yeah. And it was like I said, there's a lot of themes that Jordan Peele, uses and implements and stuff. And the imagery was bonkers in the movie. Plus, it was cool to see or to hear that rap song played by an orchestra. by the Loonies. You know, I got 5 on it. That was really cool, man. That was
cool.
Yeah,
like the other part when one of the families getting attacked, and she's yelling at Alexa to call the police and starts playing NWA "Fuck the Police."
Yeah, dude. Yeah. You know, so I mean,
it's so fun. Yeah. I just like. I guess I you know, I like when filmmakers shoot for the stars. You know, like I think he nailed it like 100%. No, you know, I don't think so. But I just remember when I was watching it, when it kind of was when it was closing up, when it was ending, I was kind of sitting there. I was like, man, you know what? Like this dude just tried to, you know, he's like, I'm gonna hit this ball 600 feet, 600 yards, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, I like that attempt, you know, like to me, like I just appreciate when people just go, you know, I'm just gonna throw it, and you know, am I gonna nail it 100%? Definitely not for everybody, of course, but also, am I gonna? I know I have friends that hated it. Like we're like, what the was that? You know, like I
break out on Facebook about that movie, man.
Oh
like,
yeah, no, I know, and that's fine. Like I respect that. I just, you know, and like I said, it's such a personal thing. Like I'll tell you this brief story, and we'll move on. I made a short film years ago called Miguel Angel Jesus. It's on YouTube. Don't watch it, but it's my first thing I ever did. I watched it. I think I've made it in 2005. But this kid I was working on a TV show with, he was like a production assistant. Yeah, he lived in Jersey. I lived in Manhattan, New York at the time. He lived in Jersey, and it was like super late, 2:00 in the morning. He's like, man, I missed my last train. I can't go home. I said, look, dude, I have an apartment. You can sleep on my couch. No problem. And he was like, I felt bad for him. He was like, kid was like 19, and he was getting screwed on the shoot, barely making any money, you know. And I was like, I took him in the morning for breakfast, but I told him, I said, you could stay at my place, but you have to watch my short film. It's 20 minutes. And he's like, yeah, of course.
I love it.
So I show him the short film. I'm not kidding you, man. I'm sitting behind him. I'm about five feet behind him, and he's watching it. And he's every note of comedy I put. It's kind of a dark comedy. Every note of comedy, he's laughing hysterically at. And dude, I'm sitting there and I'm like this. I'm like, I'm gonna win all the awards. I'm gonna be huge. This is amazing. And he's like, ha ha, oh man, ha ha. So the movie ends. I press stop on the DVD, whatever, and I go, all right, what'd you think, man? And he looks at me and goes, I didn't like it.
Man.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
What the hell?
And he's like, looks at me, he's like, yeah, I didn't care for it. It was so like the way he said it was so straight, like he was like straight up like, and he wasn't that kind of guy. He was a very like meandering, and he's 19 and he was around older people. I was like 30 at the time, you know, whatever. And he was nervous around, and he was just straight up like, yeah, I didn't like it.
Damn.
And I was just like, I was so destroyed. I was like, my point of bringing that up is that taught me that you can never judge or justify an audience in that context. You know, you just like you can't rationalize how people perceive or take things in. You just gotta be true to yourself and say, I'm just gonna make a movie. Even on this film, I remember when it was really going, and we had a script reading with the actors, and I remember thinking, I would tell them, I said, I'm just gonna be straight up with you guys. We are about to make a very weird other movie. Like it's not a normal, like it's a little different, guys. Like I don't know what to make of it.
Man, keep it out on Front Street, you know.
Yeah. And so I always told them, I said, I don't know what's gonna be, but I'm gonna give it my best. You know,
we're gonna make a movie, goddamn it. We're gonna make a movie.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, like these big studios, and I really disagree with this. I don't even like movie critics because people don't like the same type of movies. So get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
They test audiences where, like, all right, for an example, the last Star Wars flick that came out, they had 8 different endings on that movie, and they sat and they did 8 different test screenings, and it's like you're gonna get different feedback from each one, no matter what you show them. So it's like, you know, people have different sensibilities, they have different tastes, so on. That's failure to me. That's failure. Put your movie together, feel secure, and then show it. You know, don't test audience. That's just greedy bullshit. And the thing 100%. Is, because you're your own worst critic, because, you know, I'm a graphic artist. So like I'll do a picture and I'm like, and I'll change it a little bit and fuck. I have to tell myself to stop, because it's like, all right, look, this is it. This is what I got. Here we go. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, fuck them. I'll do another one. So, I mean,
yeah,
you have to kind of talk yourself into it and out of it at the same time. It's a weird process.
And I truly believe artists like you and people making films and whatever. I was walking in quarantine. That we're in quarantine, by the way. In quarantine, you know, my wife and I walk every night, and I said to her, I was just kind of like sitting there, we're all quiet, and I said to her, I said, you know what I've realized is, I realized none of this is ever going to be done, because I had just like done my final tweak. And what I mean by final is like I told myself, you got one more tweak, bro. You know, like, cause I was like tweaking, and I was just toiling in my mind. I still wasn't happy. You know, like there were still elements that I knew. I was like, but I could shift that around, or I could, and it was like you just said, like I was like, no. You and it made me think. I was like, I wonder if like the great filmmakers, you know, I wonder if Kubrick kept going back to like looking at The Shining, you know, probably screened it in his own screening room or went to a theater, whatever, and it was like, I hate that scene. Jack should never have gone in there or whatever.
Like, sit down, shut up. This is what you're gonna give them. Like seriously, you know. I mean, like take Tarantino for example. Tarantino, you know, brilliant filmmaker, but he's only as good as his editor, Sally. And so if Sally tells him, look, this is the best way to assemble this scene, he goes with it. You know what I mean? So it's, yeah, man, I'm sure pulling their hair out over this stuff. Seriously.
And it's funny because that you bring it up, because like I just, you know, I edit my own films, but not by choice. I learned editing in film school, but I never professionally edited a day in my life. My first film, I gave it off to a person to edit. It didn't work out. The guy, you know, screwed me basically, for lack of a better term. And then I gave it to another person, a film student, and she, same thing. So I just kind of sat there, and I had a very minimal education in digital editing. And I was like, well, time to learn, bro. And I just sat down and learned Premiere, and I edited, and then after that, I kind of like, I think that experience like freaked me out, because I was like, I just can't. In the back thing of that is when those two people kind of screwed me over, it keeps setting me back months, because they would have it for months, and I'd be waiting and going, hey, what's going? Like, can I see a cut soon? What's going on? Yeah, I got you. It'll be a little bit, and then eventually nothing, right? So it just month after month. I mean, on my first film, I think I was.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so well, that's the thing. But what you just said is profound, though, because that's the thing is, and that's what I know. My ultimate dream hurdle is having another voice in the edit suite, because like someone asked me a while ago, they said, what one job? Because I do every job, and I don't say that arrogantly. I'm not proud of that. I wish I could have other collaborators.
Different hats, man.
Yeah. And he asked me, he said, well, what other position? I said, editor. Like, without even thinking, it was like editor, because an editor would see my footage and the performances and all that, and know an editor, Scorsese's editor, Spielberg, doesn't matter. They tell them, hey, I know you think this scene belongs here because you wrote it was put there in the script and you shot it this way. I'm telling you, it should be the second scene in the movie. What? Second scene in the movie? How the hell do you think that? Yeah. Trust me. They put, and then they go, let me show it to you, please. Exactly. Let me just show it to you. And you watch it and you go, holy, because my that short, my shitty short that the guy thought was crap. I had a professional editor on that, a friend of mine, Jed Ehrman, and he's a great editor. And that's what happened. He kept coming back to me going, you're missing it. You're missing it, man. You're not seeing the grass and the trees or whatever.
To learn your style over time. And they actually can anticipate what it is you want. Like Sally with Quentin, she knows his style. She knows the long dialogue scenes, blah, 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 blah. So it's like you can kind of, all right, I was a sous chef. I was an executive sous chef for Carnival Cruise Lines. You have that type of relationship with your chef, where you can look across the kitchen and he can just kind of look at you, not say a word. and I'm like, I got to go thaw out whatever. And so it works that way too. And so, yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's a huge, like I DP'd a movie years ago called You Tell Me, directed by Josh Carey. And I remember there was a performance in the movie that him and we were really close in making it. I was a cinematographer. He was a director. We spent a lot of time walking through sets, and we tried really hard to create an image. We were trying to make a Woody Allen movie, really. But and he had an expert, brilliant editor named Sue Graff out of New York, indie editor. And this performance was bad on set. I'm not going to blow anybody up, but this performance was bad, and we were really concerned. Attitude wasn't great, and in the film, that performance is one of the best parts of the movie, only because of the editor. He told me, he's like, she would tweak it, and she'd go, watch this, and she'd do these little, like, where she put their moment in their scenes, and he was like, oh my God, like, that's amazing.
Just their weight in gold, man. Like, an editor can make or break a feature film, seriously. And honestly, 100%. There's a lot of movies that come out that kind of bomb. You'll hear they bomb or whatever. A lot of times I just think to myself, maybe if they had a better editor, it would have, because some movies move at a clip, and then other movies are like really clunky, like dunk, dunk, dunk. And there's no flow. A good editor is invaluable, in my opinion. Absolutely.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Well, shit, man, we're at 51 minutes, dude. I can't. I'm having a ball talking to you, man.
Yeah, I know, this is awesome. I could talk about film all day, man. I love it so much.
Well, listen. What is it you want to let everybody know about? The floor is yours. Plug whatever it is you got coming out, and whatever it is you got out.
Well, again, first off, thank you guys. In closing here, thank you guys so much again. This, by the way, like I said, I could do this all day. I love talking about this stuff. So this is
great fun, man. Great fun.
Yeah. Pleasure. So the movie is Remy's Demons. It's going to be on Screamtime Films. It'll be on Amazon Prime Video, and a bunch of other places, Vimeo, streaming, and things like that. And you can also at Screamtime's website, screamtimefilms.com. You can order a DVD. On the DVD, Ronald Mercado interviewed the actors in the film, and a little mini documentary, just kind of like them talking about their experiences in the film. I also would be remiss. I just want to take a second to mention most of the performers, the actors in the film, and who made this possible. Angelita Aran Sorensen, who's my co-producer. She helps me produce these films, and she was Mildred in the film. She's amazing, brilliant. Like I said before, Jason Scarborough is an incredible talent. I push him hard. I'm like, please keep acting. I know it's hard because at our independent film, it's hard, but he's brilliant. Magda Porter played Regan. I'm sorry, Jason Scarborough played Remy. Magda Porter played Regan, the mother role in the film. She's brilliant, does a lot of theater in South Texas. Brilliant actress. And Aisha Love played Vera. And she's awesome and amazing, and put her through the ringer, a lot of random last minute calls and things like that. And so that was the main, and Ronald Mercado plays the bad guy. And Ronald Mercado, as you guys know, I also with crew, because on these kind of movies, sometimes, you're like, hey, can you grab a stand? And he's a cameraman. He does camera work and stuff like that. Deck, man. Hands on. Yeah. So like, thanks. I want to shout out to him, but so the movie will be on Amazon Prime, digital video soon, probably in mid to late May. Also check us out at BresslerProductions.com. That's my personal, production website. We do corporate videos, but also that's where my film director's reel is. Also, if you thought this was interesting and think my films might be interesting, you could check out my last film called Domestic Hell, which is available on Amazon Prime Video through Monarch Films, and that's also on Apple TV, the Apple streaming site, Apple Plus or Apple Streaming. I don't know, but it's on Apple's streaming service. So check that out too, because I'm always trying to, that's another movie near and dear to my heart. And lastly, on Instagram, which is our main sort of like where we share details about our process and everything. On Instagram, check us out at Bressler Productions. So that's our Instagram handle, at Bressler Productions. And otherwise, I mean, you know, always just support micro budget, no budget films. We're all over. Tons and tons of us have our films on Amazon. And the truth of the matter is, like, not just when we're in quarantine, but like it's not the financial thing about when you see these movies. We don't really make much money off of that, but
it's
or any money. Yeah, it's just like you don't
That's
understand. Like, I mean, you guys do, but like most of anyone listening out there, like you're literally like there are filmmakers that they see somebody comment on my film, you know, and it's like Christmas, you know, and so like the more like you can support that kind of stuff because it doesn't get out there, you know, it doesn't. You know, people like you don't give, you know,
you can give
you
it
guys
a platform, brother. Absolutely,
Yeah.
man. And like Franklin's a good buddy of mine. So when I saw that comment, I said, "Ooh, what you got? What you got?" You know.
Yeah.
And,
thank you so much. Thank you.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but-
Thank you for coming on. Could you send me the links on Messenger? And you got them,
Yeah.
sweetie? Okay, cool. Pop touch. See, on the ball, on the ball.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you know, next time you have a film coming out, I want to extend you an open invitation. You're more than welcome to come and hang out with us whenever, man. Anytime you got a project
Thank you
or
so much.
even if you just want to shoot the shit, because this was a blast.